Hey everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. I'm Megan, and today we are going to be playing The Other Side using ICRPG, and in my homebrew setting of Shard World. And I will let everyone introduce themselves, anything they want, and their characters and what they are. So we'll start on my left, which is Sam.
Hey guys, Sam here. I run Chalice and Chains on YouTube. I am having some weird computer issues here, so I'm on the laptop for now. But if you see me switch halfway through the game, you'll know why. I am playing Kresh, the Hashon, I believe is what it's called, which is one of the custom races that Megan made for this setting. It's kind of a brutal warrior type, so I'm excited to check that out. First time playing ICRPG, but I'm very excited for it, so thank you for having me, and I'm excited to play with you guys as well. Haven't played with anybody from this crew yet, so that's cool. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. And Connor.
Hey, I'm Connor. I'm the other half of Dice on Ice. I'm playing Graham, this Titanian tinkerer. He's an apprentice. He's trying to learn how to use orichalcum, the magical substance of this world, to make a lot of gadgets and gizmos. I'm excited to see how that manifests in ICRPG and to see how many times he blows himself up by accident.
Nice. And Karen.
I'm Karen. I'm playing a Luthian named Sun Moana Terek'an. She's from the planet Luthia, which is kind of basically a more of a nature-based realm. They don't like technology of any form, so this is going to be kind of interesting, seeing as she's been a bodyguard to a merchant, and they're on their way to I believe it's Nothia, which is a very technology-ridden planet. So we'll see how it runs.
Yeah, awesome. And last but not least, Jaren.
Welcome, y'all. I'm Jimothy Indy from Power Up Gamers. So people, I believe it's an Ethiopian. That's how you would say it. They're mostly farmers, but he's more of your typical, I guess, undertaker / gravekeeper, crematorium kind of guy. I said, ought be lots of fun.
Awesome. And for everyone who may watch in the future, everyone here is going to have 30 rounds. They've already rolled their initiatives, and they are going to have 30 rounds to do whatever they need to do to save their home. If not, then bad stuff will happen. So we're going to we're going to start the city market is extremely busy today, bustling with people and merchants selling their wares, and there is the audible sound of people talking and milling about and people shouting, and can be heard from all over this small little floating island that is off the edge of Nothia, which is its closest shard. Nothia is can only be described as a city landscape. No form of nature can be seen. And this island, this small floating island, is the same as its mother shard. And Jaren, what are you doing right now in this city market? Oh, you're muted.
I imagine he would probably be eating in the meal, since it's very seldom he's not actually working. And he just would be watching and the people passing back and forth.
Yeah, and Crush, what are you doing in this? Why are you here? Why have you decided to visit the marketplace today?
So Crush has come basically looking for just, basically to resupply from the last mission that he would have gone on. Probably looking for any way that he can power up his gear, any way that he can, replace things, and maybe looking for companions as well. I mean, this is a dangerous world, and while Crush is violent and capable, sometimes having other people at your back can be useful. So that's what I would be doing, kind of looking around, just surveying this marketplace, maybe with a little bit of contempt, looking at what I assume to be a bunch of weak people, not capable of taking care of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. There are many races in Nothia since they are all accepted, but you would definitely be one that would tower over the rest of them and be quite the sight to see. You would have a bunch of people more or less gawking at you. And Graham.
Graham's on the hunt for a certain part that he ran out of. It's a little bolts 3 inches long, got counterclockwise threading, and made of a kind of a copper. And he's just scouring these marketplace stalls for some more of these parts because he seemed to have misplaced his in his absent-minded whatever he does back in his laboratory.
And sorry, Karen, what is your name again?
You can just
I know
call
there's
her,
a click in there.
You can just call her Soon.
Soon?
Soon. She's standing tall. She's about 8.5 feet tall, trying to look as imposing as she possibly can. Behind her merchants, who's got his wares out and doing business. Basically, she's like light green tinge, just very stoic and kind of uncomfortable actually with all the bustle and the fact that there's no green trees around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a normal market day for everyone until you hear the screaming begin. And if you were to all look over into the direction, you see that people are pointing in the sky and covering their mouths in shock while others are screaming in horror. And you look towards the void and you see this giant swarm of creatures heading straight towards your island. And Kresh, you recognize these creatures because they usually inhabit closer to where your home shard is. And so if you would ever have gone home, you would see them a lot, and this is why your shard does not have, Hakon does not have many small islands, because these things, they would just rush through and terrorize and destroy these small islands. And they are simply called, they're called Zales. And they are coming straight towards this island. So we start at the top of the initiative order. Jaren, you see this. What is your reaction?
Well, I don't believe Jaren would be too familiar with these creatures. He's pretty much kept to his work all his life. So I think he would grab his little mighty axe that he uses for chopping wood for the funeral pyres, and just kind of be on the ready in case trouble happens, but kind of looking to see how people nearby are reacting.
Okay. And Crush, you see these things coming, these Zales.
Yeah, and I think you would see Kresh look to these things and, you know, with these strange sort of alien eyes peering up at this swarm coming in. And if anybody has ever observed the Hashons before, you would know that not a lot terrifies them, but these are definitely something that is causing me to pause a little bit, because I've seen what these do back home. And so I would start for a minute, kind of with my great spear in my hand. I would just maybe 1, 2, 3, like start banging it on the ground, like the war, what you would do, and in my home thing before going to war. And then I realized, like, yikes, I'm standing here with a bunch of sort of people that aren't warriors, and so I think better of it. And I kind of look around, and I would run over to maybe some kind of like market stall or something where I could get cover, to watch these things and see what they do.
Okay. Graham.
Graham kind of looks at this cloud of things approaching. His spectacles kind of fall. He readjusts his spectacles and looks and peers and kind of squints a bit, and he kind of flips another lens over and to magnify it. And he realizes what he sees, this swarm of creatures. And he kind of like, whoa, kind of flails back a bit and tries to scamper, running away, holding onto his bag full of jingling parts and stuff and wires, and is going to try and find cover in a building, not a building, but like maybe behind a street corner or something.
Okay, and Soon.
Has Soon ever seen anything like these before at her home shard?
No, probably not. Hakon and Luthia are quite far from each other.
Okay. She would just continue to watch her merchant and make sure he's okay. Other than that, very again, like not really doing anything. She's on guard. She's watching. She's making sure that her merchant is safe. But other than that, she's not leaving, where she's at this point. Just as is.
And they come in. These things, they're huge. At least they have probably a 20-foot wingspan. And there must be at least 50 of them coming down. And they have these large, kind of like a keel in a bird, but they stick out of their bodies, and that these are razor sharp and very, very hard, and they don't come over the shard, over this little island. They actually slam right into the edge of it, right into the side, and you can feel your town just start to shift, groaning with this pressure coming at them. And you can tell that they must be all, battering in at one end, because you hear the cracking begin. And you see them, some of them fly underneath and come back up, and then they go down into the town, and they're flying around and just causing chaos, picking up people, dropping them, running these big razor-like spikes down their front, down over top, ripping up tents and houses, and just causing absolute panic and chaos. And if that wasn't enough, you begin to see cracks starting to form directly down the center of the marketplace. Jaren, these things are close enough for you to see them. They're flying around. What would you like to do?
Well, Jimin isn't particularly brave, and he definitely sees there's way too many to deal with. However, he has a responsibility, and there are people dying in nearby. So he's going to be going to the people that these things are dropping and kind of doing his little rites to guide them to the afterlife. I'm keeping his axe handy. If one of these critters comes close, they get an axe to the forehead.
Okay, so is your action going to be you helping people or making the attack on the Zale?
The action's planning on helping people.
Okay. Okay. Fresh down. They've arrived.
And about how many did you say there were?
There was about 50, but I'd say there was probably about 5 who are kind of wreaking havoc on the marketplace. The rest are pushing and slamming against the side of the
Okay. I think then probably what I would do is if there's one nearby, at this point, being behind cover, I think what I would do is I would probably pull out my bow and take a shot at one of them, letting out this like sort of guttural hiss and, or whatever. And then, like I would cock back with the bow and aim. And you would see like as the arrow would fly, behind it is this sort of trail of like orichalcum. As you can see, there's like gem shards all kind of made into the bow, hopefully dealing some damage to this guy. What am I rolling against? Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. I rolled a 2.
Yeah. So these things move lightning quick, and so yeah, you just miss, but awesome explanation. Graham.
As Sam asked, what's the scene DC?
Yes, the scene DC is 12.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Graham is kind of like cowering behind one of the stalls or around the corner of a street, because he just saw these things on the horizon. They're flapping in. They're making these loud, shrieking noises, and whatever they are, they're scary. Graham doesn't really care what they are right now. He didn't really catch a glance at what they were, but he knows that they're pretty dang scary. He's starting to tremble a little bit. Maybe he starts to pee himself a bit. But he's talking to himself. He's muttering to himself, trying to help himself stay calm. Then I imagine one of these Zales just comes in, like swooping in, like near him, and almost reflexively he would push a little button he has on this little like nozzle that he has like near his forearm, and immediately this spray of orichalcum, like there's this hose coming out of his backpack going up his arm, and it would like meet a little flint stone or something at the edge, at the opening of the tube, and he just sprays this this liquid orichalcum that's just been ignited by this little crystal at the end, and just spewing this flame upward at one of these Zales that flies by. So if it's a DC 12, I'm using effectively my spell. I get a total of like 20. So I'm guessing that's a success.
Yep. And you can roll for effort.
Yeah, and when I rolled my effort, I get a total of 7.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. So yeah, you hit one, and you, Graham, notice that it is some other Hakon, or this Hakon, who are probably two of the only people who are fighting back at this point.
Yeah, mine was
almost
more of like being like trigger happy rather than anything. It was like a reflex. It was almost an accident. But yeah, I see the Hakon just like shooting this. Maybe it was like the glint of orichalcum in the sky that caught my attention. Like, ooh, orichalcum. Then I see the source being the Hakon who fired the arrow.
And that brings us to Soon. You see these two are standing up to these Zales, while most everyone else is trying to take cover. What would you like to do?
Well, I would, as I'm grabbing my bow out, I'm yelling at my merchant to get his stuff together. We got to get out of here. And I'm going to take a shot at one of the Zales that's flying around. And as I draw back my arrow, my hands flash green, and I let loose the arrow, and the arrow shimmers green as it flies through the air. And we hope we hit. I got a 9.
No, you miss. You just miss it as it swoops by. And Jaren, the marketplace seems to be emptying out right now, and you are, helping. You can explain how you're helping people, what you're doing, and you see that it is starting to empty out.
Okay, for the most part, I'm trying to deal with those that are dying or already dead, and then pretty much just do it in little prayers over them. If they're fatally wounded, he'll be merciful and ice their throats really quick. And for those that still seem to be alive, he just kind of pointing back towards the crematorium because he knows that's a pretty sturdy building. And that's pretty much the only spot he can think of that might be safe.
Okay, and Kresh, you see that the marketplace is almost empty, save for those who are dead, dying, or a Detanian and a Luthian who look as though they are fighting back. They are attacking these Zales as well.
Good, and I would at that I would kind of give a little bit of a smile, and I think I would look to these guys and I would kind of come out of the cover that I was in, and I would kind of pop myself into, the middle of the ring here, and I would like start. I would probably pull, as I was doing that, I was like putting my bow back on my back and pulling out my spear, and then I would just be like. And I would imagine like every time the spear, hits the street of the market, a little bit of dust would go up, and maybe some of the mist from, the borders of this shard would start to coalesce, and you would see these this green, shards all in the spear tip, and then I would let out, and they would kind of glow every time it hits the ground, and I would let out this just guttural roar. And then I say, "To me!" And I would charge at the nearest Zale and try to attack it with my spear. And not showing all of the training that I normally have, I roll a 6. So perhaps I trip or something on the way.
Yeah, I can imagine this thing just kind of swoops up just as you are going to spear it. And Graham, you see this Hakon call out and start charging.
Yeah, I see this Hakon starting making this really loud ruckus, and I feel like that would attract the attention of a lot of these Zales. Maybe they're sound based or something. And I'm just muttering to myself, "Be quiet, you fool!" But of course, he can't hear that because I'm too far away. Like, don't make any noises. Stop! You're gonna get their attention. And then he's gonna fumble through his items, and he's going to find a little copper triangle, cone. And then he's going to affix it to the end of this this tubing he has on the underside of his arm that lets this blue orichalcum flow through it. He's gonna affix it to the end, and he's again gonna fire it essentially at one of these Zales using the explosive power of the orichalcum to launch this little projectile. So again, yeah, I make an attack. Oh, well, I rolled a natural 1. So I don't know how natural ones work with this system. If it's a fumble, I think it'd be cool if this cone that I just jammed into the end of this tube just like jams my tubing or something.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it anywhere, so I think it is just like a regular, just a fumble. And that would make sense because just as you are going to shoot it, you guys all need to make a Constitution check, the DC 12, to avoid being thrown over as the land pitches to the side as this crack just reaches the other side and the land starts to fall. Soon, what did you get?
I rolled a 1.
So everyone but Jaren get thrown to the ground as the sudden movement of this land, and you guys each take 1 point of damage.
And I think as this is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, and as this is happening, I would I think as the land sort of shifts a little bit, right, and you would see like, I almost picture this race maybe as like this sort of reptilian alien type looking thing, you know, really tall, whatever, and, you know, decked in armor and all these weapons. And like, I would imagine as the ground is starting to shift and like maybe the whole, you know, the whole market is starting to crumble all around us, I would start to like slip, fall. And I would reach out for Graham, trying to like keep him up, you know, because I would imagine maybe he was near me at this point or he was sliding. And if you'll allow it, maybe just as a narrative piece, maybe he's like starting to slide down into this crack and I'm falling too. And I grab onto like, you know, the edge of it with one hand and I'm like holding him with the other hand. And I'm just cursing in this guttural language that he doesn't understand. To anybody else, it might sound like, you know, I was getting ready to eat you, but I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, and so, Jaren, I assume you did not fall because you might have been able to brace yourself against the crypt area, but I'll let you describe that because you are next.
Yeah, I imagine having to work in the quick imagery of he has to be pretty quick on his feet, fetching in the funeral pyres and embalming and all that good stuff. So I would imagine he actually does start to almost trip, and then he just kind of slams his axe down, kind of bracing himself else where he's at, probably in some level of a building. And he would look over, I imagine, right about the time everyone else is starting to fall. And he would just start running towards them, because either he's to save their life because he believes life is sacred, or he's to guide him on to the next one. So. And then soon as I could get to any of them, he'd be trying to take the handle of his axe and kind of let them grab onto it to kind of steady them.
Yeah. Crush, you see, you are holding on to Graham, and you see there is an Eovian above you, reaching out his axe towards you.
And I think what I would do in this case is, feeling Graham kind of, pulling the weight of him, pulling on me, and, sort of the chaos. And I would imagine everything is maybe still shifting a little bit. I would, if I can, what I would try to do is sort of pull him up one-handed and like push him up above me so that he could grab onto the axe. I don't know if you need me to make a strength check or not for that.
Yes.
Okay.
A strength check.
Is this against the normal DC or is this hard?
I would think this would be hard.
Okay.
Because you're pulling a very large creature.
Yep. So I think I got it because fortunately I'm very strong. So I rolled with the modifier 17.
Yeah, and you can roll effort for base. I think it'd be basic work.
Okay.
Just to see if you are successful.
So I rolled a 2 for the effort.
Okay, awesome. You get him almost there. And so that brings us to Graham. What would you like to do? Crush is trying to bring you up, and he's got you almost there. You can almost reach for it. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I imagine Crush is like swinging me back and forth, and like I'm reaching out trying to grab, and then with one swing, I'm close. I'm trying to grab onto the edge with my own like leather gloved hand. I would like to snatch the edge of the world essentially to climb back up. What kind of check do we make? Like a dexterity?
Yeah, like a dex to see if you can.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have no modifiers for this because I am clumsy. I got a 9, which is not beating the 12.
No, so yeah, your effort wasn't quite enough, Crush, to get him quite up there. So it's close, but soon. What happened to you? You fell. Where did you fall? And what are you?
I imagine that in the shifting of the land that I was on, that not only did I fall, but it was because the cart and the stall and the merchant all kind of banged into us. And so I'm kind of in this mess of debris in person. So I have to kind of clamber out of it to find out the lay of the land and see where we're at, and checking for my merchant to make sure he's okay. Do I have to spend effort to dig myself out, or?
Yeah, you'd have to, I would think, do a strength check to see if you can get yourself up. And this is just going to be a normal check because you're not lifting up another human. So
18.
Yep. And make an effort roll, please, for basic work.
2.
Okay. Yeah, and that is enough to get you up. Or at least stable, not exactly standing, but stable, and get all this debris off of you. And so you all feel the shift again. And it actually puts you a little more upright, a little more level with what you were before. And you can see these Zales. They're flying around still, but they're getting less and less, and you can see that they are all heading towards Nothia. And so basically, a rundown is the void is reliant on balance. Everything to float, to move, needs to be balanced. Once you are balanced in the void, you are stable. Now, the only reason that islands are able to float and not plummet through the void is because they're balanced. So any rupture to that may mess up the balance. And so as more rocks fall from this debris, you are playing a betting game based on whether this broken off part is going to be balanced or not. And so it's rocking, that it's trying, but it's hard to tell right now because all these rocks are falling. The island is constantly shifting and changing because of this crack, and the crack is getting bigger and bigger, and it's trying to balance itself out. You know that land-dwelling creatures are not balanced, and so they just plummet through the void into the unknown. And so you see these creatures begin to attack Nothia. And you hear the screaming coming from the cities as they smash into buildings and these tall skyscrapers. And you know immediately that you are not getting any help from your mother shard. Jaren, you are outstretched towards these two, Kresh and Graham, and it's kind of leveled out a little bit more, but they're still hanging on. What would you like to do?
I imagine he's a pretty good sized guy, being between 7 and 8 feet tall himself. Pretty strong, carrying bodies and wood and all that. Spell up some also. I imagine he would actually spin his axe and bury the blade part in the ground. And then he would just kind of slide his hand down towards the end of it, and he would just start stretching himself out, trying to grab towards, I believe it was Graham that was actually trying to grab the axe. Just being careful to keep his own balance, but
yeah, I'll get you to make I'll get you to make a dex check just to see if you can coordinate your axe with Graham's grasp.
That will be a straight 17.
Great, and make effort for basic work.
Effort for the basic work's a +1. And that's a D8?
D4.
I believe.
D4. Yeah.
D4. Okay. Couldn't quite tell on the sheet. Not too bad. That will be a 5.
Yeah, awesome. So you definitely grab. Graham is able to grab your axe, and you are now, all three of you are now connected. And so Crush.
All right, so Graham is sort of now grabbed onto this axe, and all right, he's getting pulled up. Okay, I think what I would do then, because I imagine Graham is almost sort of like half like on my face, you know, and like one foot like on the shoulder, you know, and I'm kind of trying to push him up here. And what I would try to do is push him the rest of the way up if I can, kind of, you know, get him all the way up onto the thing. So I rolled a 19 for a strength check if you need me to roll.
Yeah, I did. And I was going to say that it would be easy because Jaren's helping you. But yeah, no, that definitely passed. And make an effort roll, please.
So I got a 2.
Perfect. Yeah, that's you managed to push him up, and with Jaren, he's pulling, you're pushing. Graham is doing something. You get him up. Graham, you are being lifted into this kind of the entranceway to the crypt area.
Yeah, so like between the axe, me grabbing onto the end of the axe, and Kresh like pushing me up from like the butt or something, and I'm like climbing up his shoulder and kind of smushing his face with my foot in my hand or something, and he kind of like or something with his hack-on voice. I finally clamber up the side and onto the edge of the world, onto the edge of this little mini shard, and I just put my hands on my knees and start breathing heavily and just trying to calm myself, just catching my breath, because Graham's got a pretty terrible fear of heights, even for a shard worlder. He doesn't like being so close to the edge like that. He prefers to be, in a nice little safe place. And he's just gonna be like patting himself down, maybe even pinching himself to make sure that he, it's not a dream. Wiping the sweat from his brow. He's just trying to regain his composure, essentially. He's stammering and murmuring, like, "Thank you. Oh gosh, thank you very much, sirs." And he kind of looks at you guys and breaks eye contact after mumbling a bit.
Okay, and soon I would think that you would be able to see these three crawling up into safety into this building. It is pretty close to you. So what would you like to do?
Is there any more of those Zales flying around the marketplace anymore?
Yes. Yeah, they're not attacking anymore, more or less just flying about.
Okay. I would like to kind of get the merchant to go towards these other people that are going in towards the crypt. And as we back away, I'd like to, I'm going to shoot another arrow at them, glowing green. Not at the people, at one of the Zales.
Okay.
That would be a 21.
Cool. And roll for magic effect.
Magic effort?
Yeah.
Oh, 11.
Yeah, you bring this one down. It falls to the ground, and then over the edge, down the edge over the edge of the island, and falls, and then just floats there, dead, because it does have balance.
Ooh.
Yeah. So. Okay, awesome. We're back up to Jaren. You have pulled Graham into this building. Kresh is still on the outside.
Okay. I imagine after making sure Graham's steady and safe, probably behind me, I would again make back at using the axe and bracing my feet as said, and reach out for Chris, as hoping to lift him up as well.
Yeah, make a strength check.
Only a 13.
Yeah, you're still managed to do that. So roll for basic effort.
That will be a 2.
Yeah, and so you too are able to pull him up into the building.
Awesome. And I imagine this is more or him actually trying to climb than me actually pulling. Because we're both pretty big guys. So it's just like, I'm straining to kind of keep the weight.
Sure. Crush, you have successfully gotten into this building and are now all three of you are against a wall.
Okay, and I think I would nod, to Jaren, just being like, thank you, and then I would say, I'd kind of look around, and is the building still intact around us, or is it like crumbling on us?
From what you can see, the building is still pretty intact.
Okay. All right. So it seems to me like we need to get to the, like, maybe the center of this place, because I feel like without that, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't really know what to do. So I say, let us go to the center of the village. And I would start running off that way.
Yeah, so you run back out the building and okay. Graham.
He's starting to catch himself. He's starting to catch his composure and his balance, and he's unplugging the little dart he had set up essentially in the orichalcum tubing he has, kind of fidgeting with it, trying to pull it with his fingers. It doesn't work. And gets these big pair of tweezers and pops it out, and the release, the gas, the steam of a vapor orichalcum kind of hisses out of the tubing as as it releases the pressure, and he immediately retightens the faucet essentially for this tubing, and he would look around, essentially, and kind of look around and say, what do we do? You see the marketplace? Geez, I don't know. He's kind of just starting to stammer.
And I think at that point, as he's stammering, I would be like, listen, get it together. We don't have a choice. We could stand here and we fall in again. I don't want you on my face again, you smelly. I don't like it. Let us go. I'll protect you. And I would kind of start spinning my spear around a little bit and maybe give it a couple doof, doof on the ground. And I say, let us go.
Whoa! There, don't spin that thing around so much. It's making me scared. But please, yeah, okay, let's go. As he starts to stammer and follow you essentially to the marketplace, but keeping his distance because he doesn't want to get caught by a nicking of this spear that you're flailing around.
Nice.
It seems like at least Graham thinks that you're just flailing around, nonchalantly, even if there might be some rhyme or rhythm to it in actuality.
Nice.
And soon you are, I would say you are making your way towards the entrance of this place, and you see them kind of walking out, or I guess not really walking, more like carefully sliding down towards the center as this thing is rocking. What would you like to do or say?
Do we know whereabouts like the boats, like the ships to get off the shard are located? Is that in the whereabouts?
Yeah, so there is a shipping dock, but it is on the other side of the shard, and so it would take you crossing this chasm that is opening and starting to separate the two in order to get across and get to these boats.
How wide is the chasm at this point?
At this point, the chasm has not split. They have not split from each other. They're just kind of like going into each other, so you can assume that it is going to split very soon. But they have not separated as of yet.
And so so just so I get this straight, the side that we're on is rocking. Is the other side is also rocking?
Yes, because they're not separated yet, so it's collapsing inwards for now. But it's rocking. They're kind of like They're kind of like going like that. Like it's just rocking, and you can see that at every time it rocks, it gets more and more split apart.
Okay, I think I want to yell out to these people that I think our best bet is to try and get off this shard. So to head towards the dock, and I'm going to go across, try and get across the split that hasn't quite happened yet, and get over that way as best as I can.
Yeah, so do you call out to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically I said, yell, we should get to the ships.
That lady there is she's yelling something about ships. She seems to know what she's talking about.
And let me guess, we're going in the complete opposite direction of these ships, aren't we?
For interest's sake, I'm going to say yes.
All right. I would kind of stop then for a minute. I would imagine, seeing, like, I would stop fairly quick, and I would imagine, Graham might almost like have to skid a little bit to like not run into me. And then I would imagine, like, Jaren has no problem. He's just like, but I would kind of look, and I would see her, we should probably go to the ships or whatever. And I would like, I run all this way in the wrong direction. And then I would look to Graham, and I would imagine kind of like towering over, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Fine, boats sound like a good idea. Let us go.
I figured the man with the pointy stick would be the one to call the shots, but okay. If you want to listen to me for this one, sounds good. Let's follow that blue lady, green lady, bluish green lady.
Very good. Yeah, and I would start, I guess, running that way.
Yeah, I can imagine you guys were originally running away from the crack, because that makes sense. but you have to cross it in order to get to the ship. So, and so you hear the groan once again, and the islands start to shift kind of the other way. As they're rocking back and forth against each other, you can hear the scraping of rock on rock as these things are like, imagine like a buoy kind of in a wave, just kind of tilting back and forth. But as they do, they're kind of rubbing on each other. And you can see before you, actually, no, I want everyone to make a con check to see if they can stand their ground as it's shifting the other way.
Is it against just the basic DC? Okay.
Yeah.
I got a 3.
And so, Graham and Soon, you are once again, kind of thrown to the ground. You aren't able to grab something in time. And you this time take 2 points of damage. And so yeah, you guys are on the ground. Jaren and Kresh, you're fine. You managed to brace yourselves. You remain upright as the island just kind of starts teetering back again, until it's almost straight. So you guys are able to, Graham and Soon, you guys are able to kind of regain your balance and kind of stand up again fairly quickly after. It wasn't as prolonged as the other one was. And so, Jaren, are you following them?
Remember, just is kind of and say, now, Masters, that's right. You brace yourself in the doorway of my crib. Now, y'all said we wanted to get to the booth, didn't it? Yeah? Well, then. And he would just start leading the way towards the boat using his axe, more of a walking stick at this point.
And did we close the gap with Soon, or was she still kind of up ahead of us a little bit?
I can imagine that she would be up ahead of, or sorry, you guys are still, or no, she's still up ahead of you guys a bit because you were going in the opposite direction. But I can assume that you guys have closed the gap. You guys were all pretty close to each other.
Okay. So then in that case, as I see Graham topple once again, and I see, Soon as well, kind of, falling back. I almost imagine that, like, as the thing, is tipping or whatever, they start like sliding a little bit, and maybe they're like scrabbling at the thing. And I would definitely I think I would spin my staff around, because I would have had it, kind of stuck point down into the ground and sort of bracing against this thing, as it's, I imagine it's almost like tipping like this, and I'm like leaning back against it. And then as it starts to come forward a little bit, I would imagine maybe they start to roll, and I would flip the spear, so the butt end is pointing towards Soon, and I would say, grab on. And do you need me to make any kind of roll for that, or should I wait for her to roll?
Yeah, I'll just wait for her to roll, because
okay.
Yeah, she's going to be the one grabbing. So, yeah, and so, Graham, you are kind of scrabbling, and but it doesn't last for long. You slide for a little bit, but it kind of slides back after a bit. But you are pretty far. What would you do?
As I get battered by, this momentum I build up by skidding and rolling down this teetering sidewalk, I could like land into some wall or something, and just with a big thud, and like you can just hear the crunch of of metal plates plus some metal on stone kind of crunch going on, and he trying to regain his stance and trying to like balance, and as the plane kind of lurches back to his proper orientation a little bit, he sees his companions are much farther away. He goes, "Oh, away from me!" as he kind of turns to pick up his coattails essentially, and trying to run back to catch up.
Right, and soon I would like you to make a dex check to see if you are able to grab on to Crush's what he's holding out to you, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I tried. I rolled a 5. So I probably smack something, or instead of the staff, as I'm flailing and falling, and yeah, I completely miss the staff and keep going.
Yeah, so I think that you would probably end up somewhere close to Graham before the land kind of evens out again. And so...
And I would imagine, like, as that happens and she's trying to reach for this thing and she just can't, you'd see this look of exasperation come over my face, and I would say, "These guys, how did they survive this long? This is crazy." And then I would start sort of trying to make my way over, in that direction towards them to help them out.
I have a question about like this damage. How does armor work for against the damage that we've been taking?
So armor is kind of like your AC in D&D, and so whenever something tries to hit you, it has to beat that. It's kind of like your own DC kind of thing, right? That has to try to beat that so it can hit you.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have base 10 and then plus whatever bonuses.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, Jaren, you see that Graham and Soon have they've fallen back away from where they need to be, and Kresh is exasperatedly going after them.
I would actually imagine I'd be coming up on the other side of the room since I was at the crib. So I would just kind of give Chris this knowing look, and then look over at Graham and says, "You there, everyone? And looks like you're having a spot of trouble, young master. Perhaps I need to give you a little piggyback ride, just like Grandma used to do."
No, thank you. I'd like to have my feet on the ground. No, thank you. I would not like that at all. But thanks for the offer.
He is kind of Uncle goes, "Well, really, well, then make sure you all step where I've been stepping. I know these rocks pretty good down there. After all, I gotta take care of the bodies."
Yeah, and like I'd imagine you'd hear this just like this weird sort of reptilian like hissing chuckle or something as as he's saying these things. And I would look over to Graham and be like, "You might want to take his offer.
It doesn't seem you're very good at keeping your feet on the ground.
No, I promise. I promise won't fall anymore. Just don't lift me up, please.
And then I would say, I cannot blame you. He touches the dead. I would not want him to touch me.
I don't want anyone to touch me.
And I was like, fine, let us go. But I would still be kind of making my way towards Soon to make sure that, you know, if Graham's getting up, you know, that I'm going to try to help her out this time.
Yeah, and so Soon, this giant Hakon, who you've probably never seen before, is approaching you, and you are flat on the ground. What would you like to do?
I'd like to quickly scramble up onto my feet, and meanwhile, I'm starting to change a little bit brown and red at the same time. So my greenish tinge is going away, and I'm morphing into a different colors. Do I need to make a roll to get up quickly? Just do it.
No, you just get up quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I have time, I'm going to try to head back towards where the split is happening.
And I would imagine, like, as she changes colors and she's getting up, you know, I would kind of look at her with this little bit of a squint, and I would say,
That is a neat trick you do there. Interesting. Listen, are you okay to make it on your own?
The brown quickly dissipates, and she's like, yes, let's get out of here. Head to the ships. I'm good. I was just caught off guard.
It is understandable.
and I would kind of be, you know, I'd wait for her to go ahead a little bit, and then I would probably just like, again, kind of tapping my spear as I'm walking along, just trying to, like, you know, pump myself up. And I would imagine maybe like in my culture, this was like a rallying sort of cry, you know, like when you do that, you know, it's sort of like the Romans, you know, tapping their swords on their shields or their spears before battle, kind of pumping everybody up. I don't know if it's having that effect, but it is for me. So.
Yeah, Soon kind of, as he's banging his spear on the ground, she kind of gives him a backwards glance, but continues towards, you know, forward a little bit wary, kind of what's going on with this guy. But let's get out of here.
Yeah, awesome. I love that that spear banging thing. So you can take a it's called a hero coin.
Yes.
But I don't have a coin, so
That's all right. I'll mark it down.
Cut.
And just so so I remember, I can spend that for ultimate effort, like anytime I need to make an effort roll. Is that right?
Yes, you just add it on in addition to anything else you roll.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. And so you guys start making your way towards the rift in the island. And you can hear in the distance screams coming from Nothia as these Zales continue to wreak havoc. And you can see there's a bunch of them flying around you guys still. And they seem to almost be searching for things that are alive, which, Kresh, you know these things. You know that they are an uncontrollable force. They usually just go, destroy, pick up what they can. They usually feed off of they're omnivores, so they usually feed off of anything living that they can find. But their favorite thing is to feed off some of the inner stone, the inner minerals in a lot of shards. So that's why they try to break them open. But these things, they seem to be acting very differently to what they normally act, almost as if they were carrying out orders. And you can see them; they're kind of scouting about, and there's no stealth checks. But I don't know how would you relay this information, because you know that this is strange. They seem to be. You actually see one probably be circling around and then dive and then pick up someone and drop them over the edge and then continue circling around.
Yeah, and I actually don't think that I would communicate it, because I think that this is such a strange behavior that I would sort of imagine, like, if if the camera was sort of, at a bird's eye view or whatever, you would see the other three sort of, heading out, ahead of Kresh towards the boats, and I would just, like, my feet would start to slow as I'm like looking at this scene and kind of like, what is going on? And then eventually I think I would stop. Like, I would just stop right in the middle as I'm just like not even aware of what's going on with my companions, but completely intrigued by this sight. And I feel like, this predator species from my homeland, it's difficult for me to sit back and watch these guys taking people, but it's even harder to watch them acting strange like this. So I would definitely, like, I mean, I want to provoke one of these things. Like, I'm going to try to, like, with my staff. I want to see if I can get it to kind of come down and perhaps observe, I don't know, what it's doing, or have it, get in close, see if it's physically any different.
Okay. And so, Jaren, you see these things are circling as you guys make your way towards this rift, and you see there are 3 of these things that have noticed you, your group, and are coming towards you. What would you like to do?
Well, I imagine Jibin not really being used to, but I think it just kind of watching these things, watching all the and he pulls out a little bit of herbs that he keeps at a pouch, and his little old flint tinder, starts spinning his axe around out, and he lifts it almost like he's gonna shave with it, and he just gently nicks himself out, lights the incense, and you hear him almost distantly. Well, Mrs. Dad, we got some visitors coming your way once again, and my lady. It grant passage to a better life in the next one. And then he just kind of glares up ahead of him, looks back over his shoulder. Avoid that patch right there, y'all. Oh, that's a bit too soft. And looks over at Graham, goes, you're likely to fall right through it if you step on it.
Thanks for the heads up, he kind of says nervously.
Awesome. At Kresh, you have definitely gotten the attention, or your attention has been drawn. These things, 3 of them are coming at your group.
Okay, I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to pull my, like, I have this rope and kind of like tied around my body a little bit, and it's got like a hook on the end of it. And what I'm going to do, I think, is like take it off and sort of tie it to my spear. And I'm going to hold on to the hook in my hand in one end, and the rope is sort of tied around the spear in the other. And then I'm just going to stand there and I'm going to wait until one of these things gets in close. And I'm going to see if I can either sort of harpoon it, or if it gets in close enough, I'm going to somehow try to get the rope around it. Because what I want to do is either pull it close enough to me or somehow get on this thing and see if I can, you know, whatever. So a grapple, so to speak. But I don't know if I need to, if they're close enough now to make that roll, or if I should wait.
Yeah, I'd say that they're coming in pretty quickly. They're patrolling pretty close, so you can make that roll now.
Okay. All right, so I got a 16 on a dex check.
Okay. Roll effort.
Okay. Oh, whoops. Is that going to be weapon effort in this case, or is that basic?
So I think it depends on what. I think if you're just trying to, because this is probably going to be in multiple turns. If you're just trying to get it right now, I would do that as weapon, and then to actually pull it to a point, that would be basic.
Okay. So I think that in this case, because it's weapon effort, and I'm sort of trying to harpoon it, I get 11 on the effort.
Oh yeah. You harpoon the crap out of that thing, and it is tightly. It as soon as you get it, it starts to flap away, and you can almost feel the power behind these wings as it's trying to get back. But you hold firm, and this grapple, I can imagine that it kind of went around its body and just kind of stuck into it somewhere, and it's in there. So yeah, right now you're holding on to Azale.
Nice.
Graham.
No, watch out, there's one coming, he'd say as he kind of points to the Azale that flies in, and then he'd see how it gets tangled in this rope harpoon. He's like, watch out, it's getting all tangled in your harpoon there, sir. It's getting tangled. Is that okay? Want me to help get it loose?
So I'm curious. I had sort of imagined that I was a little bit behind them, that they had gone, you know, kind of ahead of me a little bit. But does it make sense that they would probably, they may have, I would imagine they probably would have heard this like shriek or something of this thing. Okay. So I don't know that I would necessarily hear all the words that you were saying, because between the shrieking of this thing and, you know, and I would imagine like this island kind of being ripped apart. I kind of imagine it as like there's this like whirling, you know, void or this vortex all around it. And so it's like this and so I hear something, and I'm like, Graham, don't you worry, go to the boats. And you would see, like, as I'm holding on to the spear, like it's sort of pulling out of my hands a little bit. And I'm kind of trying to like, you know, wrestle with this thing because this creature's really big. And I would imagine like you might not see it, but like there would be some blood kind of on my, you know, kind of on my hands, like dripping down the haft of the spear as I'm like trying to hold it, and it's trying to like forcibly pull it out of my hands. And I'm like, you go.
Yeah, and Graham sees this as like Crush's weapon getting tangled in the bird thing, Zale, and so he'd want to help it, or he'd want to do it so that the harpoon gets unstuck, but he's not gonna be that precise from this distance, because I imagine he's like, what, 50 feet away or so. But he'd take like like essentially a rocket, this little canister, about yay big. It's got this blue fluid in it of liquid orichalcum, and he'd, pull it out of this little knapsack, and he'd take one of the side parts and just like strike it a few times, and immediately starts to bubble, and like the steam pours at the side. It's like sparkly blue and orange, and he'd hold it. It kind of whizzes around his head as he doesn't quite let go in time as it starts to whip up this speed, and it just launches careening through the air. And I'm launching this missile powered by orichalcum at this Zale that is getting harpooned by Kresh. I get a 16 to hit, and I do 3 points of magic effort onto this creature as I just concuss it in the side with this little rocket.
Yeah, I can imagine it goes careening, and definitely this Zale would be quite confused of what is happening, and would kind of fall a little bit, kind of releasing the tension a little bit on Kresh, your grip, as it's distracted. And so soon you look behind you, you hear this commotion, the scream of the Zale, and don't forget, guys, there are 2 others that are also circling around, coming at you guys. But you see all this. What would you like to do?
Well, I noticed another one kind of trying to dive towards Graham and Crash there. So I'm going to take out an arrow and draw it back and shoot at it. As the glowing green arrow flies towards it, let's hope it hits. Oh, yay, 20. Not a natural 20, but 20. Okay, so for damage, 9.
Yeah. On the other one, you definitely slow it down. But it's still, and it looks very injured. You might have gotten maybe one of its wings, and it kind of starts spiraling towards you, but you can see it's trying to, kind of right itself again. And so you guys are doing this, and all of a sudden you hear a crack so loud, louder than anything, and it drowns out all other noises. So loud you could hear it in your chest, and your chest kind of vibrates, and you feel your part of the island begin to sink, to start going downwards, and you can hear kind of the rocks scraping. But you know now that the 2 parts are free from each other. And we're going to have a break. So just a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back.
Oh my God. All right.
So how do you like it so far?
I'm digging it. I like this. I don't know. I think that like the timers are really cool to help like push the story, right? And like to add that tension and to kind of like know that, man, you gotta do stuff because like something bad's gonna happen in 4 rounds or whatever. It's like I don't know. I like it. And I like the simplicity of the characters too. I mean, there's not a lot going on, which is cool.
Yeah, I might adopt this timer system for other games too.
Totally.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I also kind of like the round thing because I found that there hasn't been any real breaks or awkward silences that you usually get with a typical session. You get that awkward pause where no one knows, when to talk or what to do. It's
yeah. Definitely. Yeah, Connor, that picture you sent, that's cool. That's definitely like intense. I mean, I like it though.
Yeah, like when you were saying that they were kind of reptilian, I'm like, whoa, that's exactly what we kind of thought of. I don't know if there's something that we wrote down there.
No, I don't know. I just sort of was riffing off of like the vibe that I got. So yeah, but that's cool. I like that picture a lot. It's, that crazy tail and like those big, yeah, that's cool. I feel like, fortunately, I haven't had to make any charisma checks in this, so I'm not using my my what is it called, disability or inability. Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, the character sheet's so simple. It's just like you only have to care about like these 3 numbers.
Oh yeah,
essentially, right? Like, because I put all my points into 2 different scores, like intelligence or magic effect. So is it not intelligence? Okay, it's just flat 0, right?
Right. Well, yeah, that was the thing for me. I was like, man, you get 6 points and there's like 11 places that you can put them or something, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Because I definitely wanted the I mean, the way I see this guy is like he's a big warrior, but at the same time, I kind of wanted some good strength in case, I ever had to like climb something or whatever. So we'll see. But yeah, I like it.
Well, I'm glad someone's a warrior, even though I'm melee-based. He's a pacifist.
Yeah.
But you all seem to be loving his accent as he chuckles all the time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a weird character. Awesome. I like it.
Yeah, so now that everyone's here, I am going to retcon something because I'm an awesome GM. And I'm going to say that you only have 9 turns left. Because I'm going to go with my original 20 rounds. Sorry, rounds. 9 rounds. We're going to go with my original 20 that I thought. Now that I kind of understand how long they usually take, have a better idea. So yeah, 9 rounds. Let's see what you guys can do. The island is sinking. And we're going to start with Jaren.
Okay. Well, Jaren, paying attention to death as in these creatures, I'm sure has noticed that when they die, they float. And his world is literally splitting in 2. And he's gonna look over to as who basically harpooned this insect. Goes, Well, sir, I've got a mighty crazy idea. It's just so crazy it might actually work. You got that the creature harpoon. Well, I noticed when they die, they float. Perhaps we could hop aboard it or and use it as a vessel to get over to the ships. I'm not quite sure how we would go about guiding it, but the ground sinking and awfully fast. And so following that, I would think he would just start running towards this insect that's harpooned and try his best to leap up basically on its back.
Oh, okay, interesting. So you're gonna leap up on its back?
Gonna try to.
All right.
14. That will be straight 14.
Yeah, so I'd like you to make effort for basic work on that, just to see how effectively you get up on it.
I gotta love this D4. That will be total of 5.
Yeah, and so you manage to climb up on it. You're not quite seated yet, but you're hanging on. You're not on the ground anymore. You're on this thing. You're not quite properly seated yet. And so yeah, Kresh.
All right. So seeing Jaren kind of get up on the back of this creature, or trying to anyway, how is it reacting? Like, is it trying to kind of buck him off or whatever? Because what I kind of imagine would happen is that it would try to take off, like it would try to fly up. And are these things big enough that they would likely be able to like carry us up with them?
Maybe not all of you, but probably each one could carry 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I would yell up, and I would say something along the lines of like, "Look at its eyes. Does it look strange? What do you notice anything about this creature that seems odd to you?"
I don't know. They look pretty weird to me. In general, never seen one of those things before, and I don't think I want to ever again.
You go find the boats. No. No, but I see what Jaren's saying, and I guess at this point, if he thinks that killing the thing is the way to go, then that's fine. But I'm wondering if perhaps trying to get up on its back and control it might be the way to go. But I'm wondering if there's like some sort of weird, like if it's enchanted or something, something's going on with the, with the shards and the orichalcum and everything that might be changing the way it normally acts.
I think Jim would just kind of look at you and goes, "Well, I don't know nothing about these critters, but just being alive strange to me."
All right. Well, then I guess in that case, I would say, all right, then if you want to get over this chasm, give it a little poke with that axe.
And Graham.
immediately when Kresh mentions the idea of it being, manipulated or something with the orichalcum, he'd like lower a few of these lenses over his eye to get a kind of a zoomed in picture of these veils. He would like to look to see if there's any kind of modifications being done to them, any like signs or scarring of like manipulation or modification of these veils.
Okay, yeah, just make a basic intelligence, just to see if you can notice anything. And
yeah, so that's a 16.
yeah, so yeah, with your magnification, you can see that one of its eyes is kind of this greeny blue color, and it's clouded over. And on top of its head, you see the glint of a vein of orichalcum. Looks like it is like in the top of its head. Now that might be normal, that might not be. So that's what you notice in terms of orichalcum.
I would point that out to to Hakon Kresh, saying like, yeah, there's a vein of orichalcum on its forehead. I don't know if that's normal. You said you've seen these things before. Maybe you didn't say that. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too breaking the fourth wall here. Is that normal? He's kind of still stammering.
And Megan, would those normally have orichalcum veins sort of embedded into their head?
No. This so I say no. They do, but you shouldn't be able to see it. You understand that orichalcum runs through most beings in Idalar, but most of it is hidden. This seems to show that there is a lot of orichalcum, a lot more than usual.
Okay. And at that, like, I would imagine that Jaren's getting ready to hit it with the axe, and Graham's kind of yelling this out through this void storm or whatever, and I would think that like when his words kind of make it to my ears, traveling on that window, would be like, it would start to penetrate, like, okay, this is definitely strange. And I start thinking like, perhaps if these things come to, another one of these islands, another one of these shards, does something happen in the journey? But I would say to Jaren on his back, look for the vein of orichalcum. Hit that if you can. Make it bleed. And then I would kind of like brace and kind of get ready, because I'm assuming that as soon as he does that, this thing is going to try to either buck him off or take off. And so I'm just preparing for that. And I would wave back to Graham and I would say, thank you. You have tremendous vision.
And so this thing is actually going to attempt to buck Jaren off and to free itself. So it's going to make a strength roll at disadvantage because it's being restrained. Yeah, it's not able to buck you off or to be free of this of the strain, but it is moving you around, Jaren. And so soon, what would you like to do? This the island is sinking. It is slowly, but it is sinking.
How close was I to the rift? Was I like right there?
Yeah, I imagine you guys are pretty close. Like, you can see the wall and you can hear the scraping of the rocks.
And how far have we sunk? Like, can I see the top of the other side?
Yes, I think it would only be about 5 feet at the moment, but it's sinking at a steady rate.
Okay, well, I would like to grab the ledge and pull myself up onto the other side.
Okay. Yeah, make a strength roll.
13.
Yeah, and effort.
So that's just basic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just basic.
3.
Yeah, you managed to lift yourself up and over, and now you are on the other side of the shard. This side seems to be fairly stable. And so I'd like you to make a check to see if you retain everything that's in your stomach, because this thing is thrashing about.
Who's that? Jaren, you said?
Yeah, Jaren.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I assume that would fall under Constitution.
Yeah.
So that will be a 21.
You have a strong stomach. You do not get motion sick, and so you're hanging on to this thing as it's thrashing about. What would you like to do?
It actually would make a lot of sense dealing with the dead. He wouldn't get sick very easily. They kind of watching it try to burp and seeing Soon had pulled herself to the other side pretty easily. I imagine, and I would actually go to use the blunt end of my axe and just poke oak right at this vein and real gently, almost as if trying to tenderly test how it would react. And I think Jim would be getting prepped to basically leap off of trying to land by soon, just in case it goes berserk or some strange thing.
And so you don't have to make a roll to just poke it. So this thing would start acting even more crazy, as if you had just kind of poked a very, very tender bruise. It would just continue bucking even more. This vein on its head would almost start to glow. As soon as you touch it, it would radiate from the spot where you touched it.
Okay. Seeing that, I think he would just kind of try to stand on the back and just take a running leap, throwing himself towards Soon, and try and land basically next to where she's at.
Okay, I'll get you to do that on your next turn, because I would count that you poking it and watching it react would be an action. That's cool. Okay.
Yep.
So Kresh, you see Jaren poke this thing.
Okay, and so like it starts thrashing around, but it doesn't necessarily like take off or anything like that.
No, it's pretty held in place by you, so it
Okay.
it kind of thrashes more in pain rather than trying to get away.
Yep. All right, no problem. And I think at this point, probably what I would do is I would look over to Graham and I would say, come here, come here. This thing, you found something about it. Perhaps if I hold it down, you go extract some of that orichalcum. That seems like something you would be interested in.
First you say to go to the ships, and now you say to come back here. Which are you choosing?
I
What do you
say,
want?
well, it doesn't look like you're going to the ships. And then I would point to Soon on the other side of the island, and I would say, she made it. It's your choice. But you saw this, I figure you might find it interesting. It might help with your things.
Thanks for the advice, sir. And we're gonna segue to my turn, Megan. So, he would hesitantly kind of look back over to where Soon is on the other side, look to see this flapping Zale just kind of flapping and trying to free itself from this harpoon, getting poked in the head by this large, muscular Eovian. He'd just be like, which do I choose? You know, first it's run to the ships because you're useless. The other one is, you know, come back and deal with this orichalcum vein in the in his head. And the curiosity gets the better of him. He would see this as a chance to kind of study orichalcum in a biological system versus, you know, a mechanical one. And he would definitely hop on, you know, kind of hustle on over to the Zale that's being harpooned, closing as much distance as he can to this commotion. And if that is not my entire action, I would like to fiddle with some magical effect. But I imagine that walking over is my action.
I'm gonna say that yeah, walking over, it is pretty far away.
Precarious balancing too,
So, yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. So if you want to get over, you could probably run over there, but you'd have to make a check to get over there safely. I would say that would take your whole turn.
Yeah, I'm good with it just taking my whole turn, being sure-footed, kind of, you know, pausing when the ground lurches around and destabilizes. Yeah, he's gonna, you know, make his way over there. Do you want me to make a dexterity check to keep my balance, or?
No, if you took
Okay.
your whole turn to do it, I'd say you do it.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, so I take my time making sure
Yeah.
to not lose my balance. Cool. Okay.
okay, Soon you are on the other side, which seems to be balanced at the moment. It's not sinking, it's not floating, it's not tipping as much as the other one. And so you see your companions quickly disappearing below you.
I kind of yell at them to, like, hurry up, it's sinking fast. Why are you guys taking so long? And meanwhile, I'm watching, you said, because there was a couple other Zales around, and they're still around?
You murdered one. No, the one was coming towards you. It was injured, and it managed to stabilize itself. And the one is still coming.
I'd like to shoot
but
at...
seems to be concerned with its one being held in place.
I'd like to shoot at the one that I injured before and try to down it. Get at least rid of one threat. I miss. Roll the 7.
Okay, yeah, and oops, I missed the beast's turn. So it's gonna go now. This thing again is going to try and get away from Kresh and buck off Jaren. And again, it does not. It is not able to. It is held in place I can imagine, Crush, that maybe you and maybe when you were younger, you guys did this for fun. Try to wrangle a Zale. So you're kind of following it. You kind of know when to tug and when to give it a little bit of slack. So.
Yeah, I would almost imagine that like that was always what the warrior culture aspired to do, but it was incredibly stupid, so nobody actually did it. They just told stories about it, like as legends. But yeah, you would like sort of practice trying to do that. And yeah, I would imagine that I'm doing that as I'm seeing, Graham sort of pick his way kind of carefully over and see, Jarn getting ready to like leap off this thing. And yeah, here I am just sort of like wrestling with it, trying to keep it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. So Jaren, back up to you.
Okay, that will be a 14 to leap off and try land and assume.
Okay, yeah, and make your effort, please.
That will be a 2.
So you jump off, but you don't get to the other side. You fall just short of it, so that you're on the wall on that side, but you're not totally on the other side yet.
Yeah, I would actually imagine kind of falling short. I probably would have swung my axe and kind of like a mining pick be hanging by my axe.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're hanging on the other side, and yeah. So, Crush.
So I think that at this point, I'm concerned that when Graham gets close to this thing and sees it and sees how big and nasty it is, that he's going to chicken out. So what I'm going to try to do is see if I can like jam the spear into something so as to like wedge it, so that I can sort of make my way kind of up to the front of this thing, hopefully distracting it so that Graham will be able to, on his turn, to kind of, get near it or whatever. Right. Do you want me to make like a strength test on that just to see if I can, or is that even possible to kind of wedge the spear?
Yeah, I'd say you could probably do that. I would say it would be a hard strength check.
Yep.
Because you have this thing on the other side, so at the other end.
Okay. So with my strength modifier, I get an 18. And then am I using weapon effort or weapon damage or basic?
Yes. Yeah.
Weapon?
You're using weapon because you're essentially stabbing the ground.
All right. 9 then.
Yeah, so you successfully wedge this thing into the ground.
Okay.
The only thing is that it'll be a bit easier for this thing to escape, I figure, because it's not moving with it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yep,
but yeah,
you
managed to keep it in place. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so like as I do that, and then I would sort of like turn my body as I'm going to head over to on the next turn, head over towards like its head area. But I would yell over to Graham, "Okay, I've got it pinned, but don't get near its face."
I wasn't planning on getting that near it, he'd say as he's kind of closer to you. He's kind of definitely within, a few dozen feet or so. And he would kind of see the creature's kind of head, bucking back and forth, but he sees a vein on its forehead. And he would reach out with his hand, and he would just like let the hose under his arm just extend, just fly outwards, as if it was propelled by some kind of spring mechanism or something. And as it flies, like little needle, or I guess little blades kind of extend from the tip of it, and as it kind of flies through the air, I guess I'm making a weapon attack here. I'm wanting to have the hose like plant itself on the forehead of this creature. So don't mean make a
Yeah, so
what kind of attack here am I doing?
yeah, just do a regular attack against
Okay.
the DC.
Nice. I rolled a 17 on the die with my +0 modifier. So
And then yeah, weapons damage.
cool. So this the blades aren't really are not really intending to do much damage. I'm just trying to like hook itself or like latch itself into the skin so it affixes itself.
1
for
second. My
weapon
cat is
damage,
trying to
though-
steal the catnip. 1 second.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Darn cat stealing the catnip.
Yep. Cats are evil.
They are evil. They're also adorable, so I guess it's a win-win scenario for them, I guess.
So I have this thing of catnip, and my cat was trying to run away with it. So it's just gonna go here. Okay.
Cool. So I got a 4 on
yeah.
the die for weapons damage. It's not more to like to hurt the creature, it's just to affix this little tube end onto its forehead. And immediately I kind of like reel back on a lever or something that's extended on my backpack. And the hose will do the opposite of what it's normally doing. Instead of feeding out orichalcum to make an effect, it's just going to start siphoning it out of the creature's forehead.
Yeah, and it starts doing that, and this creature just it looks like it's in agony. But as you know, as this orichalcum starts to siphon out, it begins to get more and more docile. As docile as this thing can be. Yeah. And so this thing is going to try to escape again, and still cannot do it, even though it is a bit easier. So yeah, that it's still stuck in place. So that brings us to Soon. Your comrade Jiren is hanging by his axe from the wall.
How far down is he on the wall from me?
I would say probably like 3 feet down from you.
Okay, I look and I think that he looks strong enough and capable enough that I'm going to assume that he's going to be able to make it up on his own, and I'm going to try to shoot that one that's still looks like it's going to attack these guys, and I'm afraid that if it does, bad things will happen. So I'm shooting at the one that I've injured before.
Okay.
17.
Yep.
Okay, so that will be 7 points of effort.
Yeah, you kill it. You shoot it. Shoot it from the air. And
that's my turn.
Great. Jiren, you're hanging from a wall.
Well, we know what that means. Time to I'm to try to pull myself up. What's my mod? Please. 12 exactly.
Awesome.
Oh, I was sweating there. And that will be a full effort.
Okay, cool.
I am.
Yeah, you pull yourself up.
Yeah, I imagine pulling myself up and bringing my axe up behind me. I imagine he would slap and it blade first into the ground. Phew, that was a close one, y'all. Hold on a sec. Where's those other two? They were supposed to get on the beast too. There just ain't no helping some folk.
Okay, Crash.
And so I think, you know, as I'm sort of walking towards the front of this beast, and I hear it let out this shriek of pain as Graham's pulling this orichalcum out of it, you know, with his devices, you know, tools, whatever they are. And I can see maybe like this, you know, the eye, that the one sort of weird eye maybe like is a little bit less strange, and it's becoming a little more docile. And I think back to like the stories of my people, right? And these, you know, these brash tales of how they tamed the beasts and how they, you know, they rode these things, and they, you know, showed their dominion over these and became masters of not only the land, but the sky as well. And so I what I'll do is I'll kind of pull my sword out and I'll walk towards it. And what I want to do is kind of get like right up in its eyes and try to like attempt to get it to submit to me. And I imagine what it would do, like the way that it would do it is it like it would bow its head down if I can make it. And we'll see how that goes. Do you want me to, is that charisma? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that would be.
So
yeah.
I'm particularly bad at that. However, sorry, that's going to be hard. Let's see what we can do. Oh, it landed on a side. All right. Oh, holy moly. I got it. Yeah, I got a 15 exactly, which I think is what I needed, right? Whew.
Yep, that's what you need.
Oh, man. All right, cool. So, yeah, so like I imagine that I kind of walk up to this thing and like it, you know, it kind of like faints a little bit, like it's going to bite me, and I kind of like move with it, you know, and then as we're sort of moving and it's trying to like kind of move its body around, and it's got limited movement, but it can still move, and I kind of am like moving with it. And I almost imagine like it would slash out one of its claws, and I would like, you know, kind of hit it with the pommel of my sword or something, and then, you know, I would just start like maybe banging the sword against my armor a little bit, and like, you know, and this thing is growling at me and I'm growling back at it. And then finally, like I'll come up to it and kind of like, you know, puff my chest out, and like totally exposed, right? Because this is the sort of final intimidation move. And at that point, I would imagine it sort of backs down a little bit. And then, and then as it does that, like if, you know, if Hashon can sweat, you would see like all the sweat kind of like coming off my, and I would kind of go up to it and I would put my hand on its head. And then I would kind of look at where this, you know, this vein of orichalcum is, and maybe a little blood as well mixed in there. And I would look over to Graham and I would say, Graham, actually, I don't know if I know his name. So I would say, you get on the beast. We ride it.
Yeah, no, it would
that?
totally, yeah, avert his eyes, would stop, acknowledge you almost, and yeah, Graham, you just witnessed this this pissing contest, and what is your reaction?
Graham is just wide-eyed. He's just like, what? As just like watching the beast in this Hakon, or this Hashon, just going at it with this display of dominance. And he's just confused as he kind of reels back the hose that siphoned out the orichalcum and kind of like dribbles a bit as it winds and coils back. But then he's as he said to get on this thing, kind of like, really, this thing tried to kill us. You want me to get on this thing? But he kind of reluctantly do this as he sees the creature submit in this final gesture. And he goes, are you gonna give me a boost or something? Kind of noting how large this creature is, and
I would say,
get up by himself.
I would say, at this point, I don't think that's the best thing to do. You figure it out.
Then I would like to essentially use the force of a controlled orichalcum explosion at the base near my feet to propel myself upwards, jet style, like jetpack style, or I guess almost Iron Man style, since I have these hoses coming out of my wrists. It's like Iron Man style, slowly and controlledly, like to fly upwards, and land on the back of this creature.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, make a magic
Intelligence, I guess, would be easier.
like an intelligence. Yeah.
Cool. So that is a whopping 10 with all my bonuses.
So yeah, describe to me how that looks. You're not successful. So yeah.
So this is when Graham's phobia of heights kicks in. As he starts to make a few inches off the ground, as he propels himself upwards, he starts to panic a bit, and immediately he kind of flails his arms out in like almost reflex to keep his balance. Immediately that causes him to go all over the place, essentially cartoon style, whizzing around, with an uncontrolled jetpack, essentially. And I imagine he probably like skid to the ground or something, or tumble or roll or something, as he finally just hits the ground again after flying around uncontrollably for a bit. And he kind of goes, "Ah," as he kind of just moans in pain at the impact.
Yeah, and this so now this second thing, Zale has, or third Zale has gotten to Soon and Jaren and is going to try to make an attack. Can you give me both of your ACs, please?
Whose ACs do you need?
Soon's and Jaren's.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I have a +2.
So 12. Okay. And Jaren? Oh, 16. Okay. So it hits you, Soon, for
And I guess that's the end of the session. Darn.
Yep.
No, I think she accidentally clicked the X or something.
Sorry. My cat just did a flop on my keyboard and just killed everything. So, okay. Sorry. Soon it hits you and does 2 points of slashing damage. It goes to slash at Jaren, but does not hit, as it does like a swooping pass. And Soon.
Soon's not so happy. She turns bright red, and she's going to draw back one of her arrows and shoot it at its retreating back as it's flying away from her.
Okay.
And in her anger, she completely misses the mark, and it goes wide.
And so You aim for this thing soon. And just as you are about to release, you have it in your sights. You know you've got this. And just as you're about to release it, the island that you guys are on that seemed to be stable pitches so that you guys are flung towards the edge.
Oh.
Make a con check, please. And this is going to be hard.
Oh,
Hard, sorry.
I almost made it. I got a 13 this time.
And Jaren. Jaren, you managed to say it yourself. Soon, you are thrown over the edge. And I'd like you to make a dex check, an additional dex check to see if you can grab on. Because you can see that the two islands are beginning to spread apart, and that's what caused this. They're finally free of each other, and that's what caused this shift, this bounce. So, what did you get?
I got a lovely 11.
I am sorry, Soon. Please describe how you are thrown into the void.
So as she's taking aim, and all of a sudden the land beneath her bucks, she stumbles backwards and flails. And in the last ditch attempt, she tries to grab the ledge as she's falling to the screen, and her tips of her fingers grab the ledge, but the rock breaks away under them, and she falls back forever. Down, down. She doesn't scream. She just disappears quietly as she gets smaller and smaller, and you don't see her anymore.
Jaren. What do you do?
Oh, given at this point, or just seeing one of his combat and then just fall off into the void. The other two are still dealing with this. We got this other cell that was attacking, and he's just gonna kind of shake his head and, well, Mama didn't raise no fool, or I knows when I's been beat. And he's gonna start looking towards the ship. After all, someone's gotta stay around to grieve for those who are, hate to say it, but dearly departed.
Crash.
So I would imagine that, like, as the void is, is spinning, and maybe we hear this like cracking or whatever or this, as the island, starts to tilt again. And I would be kind of slowly making my way up onto the back of this creature, just kind of climbing up as it, as it's still submitting to me. And I think it was, as I would be kind of getting on, something would be like falling, in the corner of my peripheral vision. And I'm just assuming that it is like rocks or chunks of the island falling off, because I'm actually looking at Graham and like the ridiculousness of what's going on here and him not being able to like make it. And I think what I would probably do, if I can, is like, if I'm close enough to stay on the beast, I would try to like reach out and grab him and like pull him down onto the beast. I don't know if you need me to make any kind of roll for that or not, but do you want me to do like a strength roll?
So are you trying to grab him out of the air or grab him from the ground?
Well, wherever he ended up, I want to grab him and get him onto the back of this beast.
Okay, rule of cool, I would say you can do a dex if you want, to see if you can just grab him out of midair while he's trying to flail about with this magic that has gone wrong.
Okay. Yeah. 18. Whew.
Yeah. Do basic work.
All right, and I think I'm gonna use my hero coin at this point. So am I rolling a D4 and a D12, or just the D12?
Yes.
Both. Okay.
You're rolling. Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow, yeah, 15 effort.
Yeah, you pull him right in.
You ripped my arm
right
off.
in close.
I don't know if I ripped the arm off, but I imagine maybe like one of the tubes or something. Like I grab the tube, pull you down, and then it like rips off, and I just kind of look at it and throw it. And then I would pull the grappling hook out of its back where it was, and I would just kind of like throw it, abandoning the spear. And I don't know if this is part of a round or if we have to do it next round, but my intention would be to kind of get this thing moving, try to, kick it or something to make it fly.
Yeah, I would say that is what you're preparing to do. And then we're going to go to Graham. You have just been forcefully pulled in.
Yeah, so I'm snatched out of midair by one of the hoses that's flying around. He rips it off, and like I got this blue orichalcum just leaking out of this tube, and my head's in multiple places at once right now. I'm like trying to plug the hole essentially with some cloth or some trinket or item. Meantime, I'm realizing, oh crap, I'm like 5 feet off the ground right now. I'm scared for my life, just shaking in my boots. And then thirdly is like I'm trying to balance on the back of this creature, probably hugging pretty damn tightly to the back of Kresh. Just like holding on to him, just like, please don't let me fall, please. As he's trying to fiddle with his little nozzles and stuff to stop the leakage of orichalcum.
Yeah, I would imagine too. Yeah, like he sort of clutches on to Kresh, but like Kresh is big and like has armor on, and I imagine Graham might be like a little bit slippery or whatever, so it's a little awkward because he's like trying to like hold, but his arms keep slipping, and and I would imagine I would be like, no, stop, and then like it tickles a little bit, and I'm like, just hold still. And then I might like kind of clamp his arm down so that it's it's not sliding all over the place, and then I'll be like, it's going to be fine.
I think you might feel a little bit of a warm like liquid like urine at the base of your back as he's just completely scared of heights.
And I think I might think that it's orichalcum because I've seen weird stuff like coming out of your hoses and whatever anyway, so I wouldn't necessarily even be able to tell the difference, I think.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's totally orichalcum. Yeah, sure. Yep.
So Jaren, you're just booking it to the ships. Is that right?
Yep, at this point, that's his only idea for possible safety. Scare both the ships because he knows they go between the shards. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, everyone else still alive on the island who managed to get to the other side has also had that idea. So you are met. You are met with a crowd of people trying to get on, and clearly there are more people than there is room for ships.
He would just, being big, he'd be elbowing his way through the crowd. Being kind of a priestly type. His thought is that they need someone to take care of the dead no matter where they go. Oh, so he thinks there's a pretty good chance he'll get aboard one of the ships somewhere if he can just talk to whoever's in charge of them.
Yeah, and you come up to the man who is kind of letting people through, and with that, we're going to jump to Kresh. You're on this thing. This
Yeah.
veil.
And so I think what I would try to do, I would look back, or I would not even really look back, but I'd kind of half turn my head and I would say, okay, hold on and listen, no screaming. And then I would I would imagine that these things would have like little horns or protuberances or something. And I would like sort of pull up on it pretty hard, kind of yanking his neck up, which at least in the stories, that's what you would do to get this thing to go. And so, yeah, I would try to get it to kind of flap up into the air and fly.
Yeah, as soon as you grab onto this thing, it follows where its head is directed, essentially, and it kind of swoops up into the air at a breakneck speed.
And if you
sorry.
can, well, so yeah, I actually have one question. Did you? Because I can't remember from the primer that you gave us. Can people travel between the different shard worlds or whatever only on these ships? No. Okay.
No, they can. No, they can travel on anything that has balance that can travel across the void. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. And I think as we're sort of going up into the sky, the way I imagine it maybe is like when if these islands are falling apart or whatever, when you start to fall down into this mist, like it slows down. And so I think that like maybe we would see Soon's body like slowly falling, and like obscuring in this mist as it kind of disappears from sight. And then I would imagine at the same time, kind of we turn our heads away as this creature sort of banks over the land a little bit. And I would imagine we would see Jaren kind of running up to these boats and sort of, pushing some people aside, trying to get to, whoever is like in charge of the boats. And I would kind of turn my head back a little bit and I would yell, and I guess, how old would Graham appear? Is Graham sort of like fairly young, or is he kind of he's young? Okay. So I would say, all right, kid, I think those boats, there's no room for us. Now is your time to be brave. Now is your time to get over whatever this fear of heights is you have. We must ride this thing out of here.
Yeah, Graham, I'm actually going to get you to do a dex check to see if you can hold on when this thing just like swoops up.
And can I suggest that you make it hard because of all the like the slippery whatever? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez. Okay, so I just looked at my little race thing. I have the inability for dex checks. Does that like make it even harder than hard, or is it just hard?
I'm just gonna say there's one,
Okay.
just one hard.
One
Yeah.
level of hard? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Bye-bye, Graham. He got a 4.
Graham, I can see that Kresh. Actually, I'm gonna let you two kind of describe what happens as
Yeah.
Graham falls.
I would like Graham. He would have some kind of gizmo here to essentially secure him in place on the back of this creature. So as he kind of slips and falls, I want him to activate this ability essentially. What I like him to do is I like him to eject some of this orichalcum and then have it solidify in kind of like a crystalline molasses kind of solid where it just like holds him fast like glue onto the back of this creature. But I guess as he's instead of gluing him to the chair or holding him seated, it's gluing him essentially by the hand dangling downwards. But I mean, with this effect going on, maybe it'll even like break or snap through this glue essentially. I don't know what you want to do, Megan.
And then like you would fall essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like what
a magic effect roll. If it's low, it snaps essentially. Or
if you want, I mean, I can add a piece to that to kind of resolve it if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Sweet. So I think maybe what happens is like, yeah, he starts to fall off as this thing happens, and Kresh would kind of like look back and try to grab him, but like as he tries to grab him, he takes one hand off, one of those horns, and the thing's, the creature starts to like buck a little bit, like he's sensing an opportunity here, and so I sort of like reach back, and then and then I can't because I gotta like grab back onto the thing, and then. Yeah, he does this thing with like, maybe the one last tube or whatever that has this orichalcum, and you can see it like forming into this crystalline thing. And for a minute, it like connects around this creature's leg. And, Kresh is like, hold on, kid, it will be fine. But then he has to like bank to kind of avoid this like big gust or whatever. And when that happens, the leg kind of kicks up a little bit. And I would imagine it's just this really loud, like shattering sound, as all of that, or, crystalline orichalcum kind of just shatters into a million pieces. And then poor Graham.
And Graham plummets to his death. Very ironic.
Well, he's falling.
Well,
he's falling.
Plummets until he dies of starvation, I guess. Very ironic because he had such a great fear of heights, and I guess it's death by falling.
Yeah. Well, you're not dead yet. You're just falling. So, but you do fall.
And I think that like.
And so.
Oh, do you mind if I do one more thing?
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, thanks. So, like, I think that seeing that, Kresh would sort of like, he would look, he would kind of shake his head and he'd be like, all that effort for nothing. I could have gotten out of here much sooner. Teaches me to trust these youngsters. Oh, well. And he has no intention of trying to save Jaren because Jaren ran essentially when I was trying to save the companions. So I'm just like, peace. I'm going to try to fly this guy out of here if I can.
All right. Jaren, you are in contact with, you have run up to this guy who is kind of letting people through, and he initially looks at you and he says, Sorry, we can't let you on.
Driven kid is kind of smile. I also, I know you quite well. You see, I've dealt with bodies on your boat before. Now, sir, I do wish to pass peacefully. And these folks have need of people to take care of the remains of their beloved. Plus, as you know, and he kind of flips up his axe and he shows the symbol of 3 ravens and goes, you see, Mistress Death is a mighty good friend of mine. I'm sure if you would do me this favor, I'm sure she might look kindly on you and yours. And perhaps not come quite as soon for your home.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you to make a charisma roll with that's easy.
This guy, I would assume is totally convincing it as it's a nat 40. And that's before I even look at my sheet for modifiers, which is no mods.
Yeah, so I can imagine that this.
It just for laughs, I rolled after they got another 4 with my +1 makes 5.
Yeah, this guy, he looks at you in just absolute fear, an absolute reverence and respect, and mostly fear that, you know, fear of death, fear of the unknown, since you have such control over it, or seem that you did. He immediately lets you on. He immediately says, oh yes, of course, I'm so sorry. Here, please, go on the ship.
Jim would just smile and rock about it. Or then soon as he's out of earshot. Man, I am sure glad that worked. Because as one of these days, Lady Death's gonna come for me. And I ain't got no right telling her how to do her business.
Awesome. And yeah, that's where we're going to end. You guys have gotten off the island. Well, two have gotten off of this island.
Well, I got off the island.
You all got off the island.
I guess that's easy though. It is just we could have just jumped off the edge, you know, a lot sooner. Like, hey, we're free!
Yay!
Awesome. Thanks. That was a fun session. You guys had two rounds left, so yay.
Nice.
Are you on the back of the animal?
No, I already threw myself on the back of an animal tonight.
Yeah, and I would imagine
Totally
that's
fun.
crazy. Yeah, for sure.
It was a little bit weird with the dice roll also for me because it's not quite 5e base, but it was easy enough to pick up on.
Yeah. if you guys don't mind, maybe once we end the stream, which will be pretty soon, if you guys don't mind just staying behind just for a couple minutes just to go over the setting and the gameplay and just do like a little post session thing wrap up. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I think we had 5 or 6 viewers at one time, so that's always exciting. So yeah, thanks for playing. Thanks everyone for watching, and everyone have a good night.